The JLPT results are in, and I passed with around 1,600 hours of study. How did I do it? I'm going to present to you the CHUD method, a language learning method based mostly around audio that I really like for learning Japanese. My goal for learning a language in this way is to sort of intrinsically understand the language, right? So we're going to listen to a lot of audio until we can subconsciously understand Japanese and process it in real time. So there are three tools that we're going to use, right? First one is Anki, which is a spaced repetition software, or SRS. It basically just takes a set of flashcards and tells you when to review them. Then there's JPDB, which is an SRS program that's online, so it's kind of like Anki, but it has more Japanese-based functionality. And then for the third thing, there's the Taikim Grammar Guide, which has a concise explanation for a bunch of different Japanese grammar concepts, and that's going to be really helpful. My total breakdown for this method is around 1,000 hours of listening, 500 hours of what we're going to call study, and then 100 hours of reading. Right? But then how do we start? Day one should just be learning like hiragana and katakana, which are the two main syllabaries for Japanese. They're going to represent all the sounds that are in Japanese. It's like the alphabet, right? You go to the website in the description, and you kind of just spam through them by looking at each one and recalling what sound it makes over and over. After a few hours, the synapses in your brain will fire, and you'll understand all of them. Stage one, right? This is the crux of the CHUD method, right? We're not immersion maxing from the start. Instead, we're speedrunning our way to immerse better. We're going to use Anki in the RTK deck to kind of run through the kanji just like we did with the kana, except this time we're not focusing on remembering the sound, we're just focusing on remembering a keyword attached to the kanji. And this isn't to like know what all the kanji mean, it's mostly just to be able to discern them, because when you start out, like all the kanji just kind of look like a bunch of fucking lines, and so you're going to need this to try to establish like kanji literacy. A tip here is you don't actually have to do all 2200 kanji in the RTK deck. I did like 1700 before I got alcohol poisoning, and I just kind of stopped working on it, and I was totally fine. I feel like if you do around 1,000, you'll kind of build up that ability to discern what kanji is which. So yeah, do with that what you will. Now, yes, if you already speak Chinese or something, you don't really have to do this part, and also you are cheating. Now for the fun part of the cramming stage, right? The vocab. You go in JPDB, you can import a frequency deck or make your own on the site, and then you're just going to want to start grinding through that as fast as you can, right? Now there is an option to study kanji on JPDB, but I don't think it's actually necessary. We've already studied kanji, just turn that off. When you start grinding vocab during RTK, you probably want to have it around 50 a day, and then increase it to like 100 after RTK is done, which will be like a lot a day, but just like put on some music or something. Get yourself through it every day. Trust me, you'll get to the immersion faster, and that's the real fun part. Another tip for getting through those first 3,000 words, right, is to turn on the audio on the front side of the card, because it's going to be a lot harder for you to read kanji when you're starting out, and you don't really need both of those pressures, in my opinion, to sort of learn the new words. You want to kind of learn the new words at the very start just by sound, especially because kanji have the most weird readings at the start. They get way more consistent as you go. So I'd say for those first 3,000 words, just turn on audio. It'll make it a lot easier to power through them, and later you can turn off that sort of audio on the front side and begin to relearn the readings. The last step of the stage is just to take the grammar guide and read the first 80 pages, all the basic grammar. It's not going to get you too off in the weeds, but it'll give you kind of a basic understanding of how Japanese works. Once you're in that transition period between a lot of vocab and a lot of immersion, there are two main ways to keep learning vocab. The first one is to keep using frequency lists like you've already been doing. That's going to give you the best long-term benefit, and personally, I did like the top 5k anime words, and that was really helpful because it upped my comprehension a lot. Another way to learn vocab here is to go in JPDB, find a show that you're interested in their database, and then learn all the words for that show, because it'll give you like this artificially inflated level of Japanese for just that show, and then you can really focus on your listening comprehension. It's also just a fun thing to do because it helps you understand a lot more early on when it's hard to do that. Now, either direction you pick, I'd recommend dropping your daily new vocab rate to like 40 cards a day, and then just trying to immerse semi-regularly. I only watched around 30 hours in this period, and that was still enough. It's mostly just about getting used to watching content in Japanese. Stage 3, immerse like crazy. About a year out from your test, it's time to start the legendary language learning classic, right, of immersion maxing. Okay, it's going to take a lot of hours, but don't worry, most of them are fun. Just pick whatever you want to watch, really, and throw it on, right? Try to get like 3.5 hours a day. If you can't do like the full amount one day, try to watch at least like one episode before you go to bed or something, and then maybe catch up, or maybe try to do a little bit more than you need every day, and then if you miss one day, it's not that bad. You get it. just try to watch stuff. This stage is pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to add too much else, but I'm just going to say in the first 2 weeks or something, if you feel totally lost, that's normal. Just trust the process. The gains will start to snowball eventually, and you're going to get better. Right, so just keep immersing, and I promise your ears will learn to understand Japanese. All right, just pass the JLPT and get better at the language in general. The time has come, and we're going to have to incorporate reading. The transition into reading is actually pretty simple. We take what we were watching before, and we add subs to it. I want to emphasize here, though, don't start using subs as soon as you do audio immersion, right? You're going to probably want to wait around 200 hours into your audio immersion experience before you add subs, because you're going to use them more as a crutch than you realize. They really help a lot with like harder content. You can use kanji to like guess meanings, which is really cool. It helps your reading, but it's going to sort of stint your growth on the hearing side if you use them too early. So yeah, I'd recommend wait 200 hours and then use them around half the time. After that, you can move on to more pure reading, right, with manga or NHK Easy or anything that's a little bit simpler, and then work your way up to like real full books. I'd recommend probably like 3 books or something before the test to get your reading speed up. I only read like 1 and then a fourth of 4 other books, and it was enough, but that's probably on the lower side. Stage 5 is test prep, but it's not that big of a deal, right? You're going to want to read through the rest of the grammar guide, but most of it's going to be review because you kind of automatically understand most of the grammar once you've immersed enough. In addition, on the test, there's some really formal conjunctions that they have on there that you won't see that often in immersion, so you can study them, and I'll link some resources for that in the description, but you probably know enough to pass at this point. The big thing I say to do before the test is to take 1 mock exam at home. Now there's fake JLPT tests, there's old JLPT tests, both online, and you can just take one of them. It takes like 3 hours, and it'll kind of help you understand like the format of the test and how things are going to go. For the day of the test, you're basically done, right? Bring a pencil and a mechanical watch if you can. There's like Casio ones that cost like $9, so that way you can track your time during the test. But mostly, like, I don't know, watch your favorite anime before for good luck. Like, you're there. Trust me, if you follow this guide, you're done. All right, as an outro, I want to say thank you for watching this guide. As a genuine thing, I want to say you can 100% learn Japanese. You will understand it. You will improve, right? The start is definitely the hardest. Just like power through it, and it'll get easier and easier. It'll be cool to look back on all the progress you've made. Blah, right? A little too real. Anyways, I have a couple more videos coming up. One about like a Japanese immersion tier list, and then I'm also speedrunning Spanish right now, so I'm going to probably do some updates about that. Thanks. See ya. And you will achieve 100% comprehension like a genius. No, what the fuck am I saying?